here on Intellectual Radio. Clap it up, 79th Street Barbecue, Smoke Meats in Calumet City. Man, shout out to Jason, that's my boy. We have been here for a minute. Hey, Gina. Gina's at the doing some amazing drinks. Make sure you come and see Gina today. She's an amazing bartender. Food is amazing, and they got some great specials as always. I'm here with the dream team, Adrian, Danny, and Mr. Raymond Batts. How y'all doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Now, last week, Danny, we had some amazing conversation about taxes, about property taxes for homeowners, for non-traditional homeowners, for renters, as well as for commercials. And we got an amazing guest today, Adrian. He's a real estate guru of the Frank Montrose team. Shout out to Frank. He will be here a little bit later. He's receiving a presidential award from our alderwoman in the ward of Calumet City. So shout out to Frank Montrose. He's an amazing. These two individuals are from the Frank Montrose tree. You know, people say they're from the Frank Montrose tree. So let's just dive into it. You know, and of course we got Raymond Betts here, our grant specialist, my business partner. We was together earlier today. Shout out to Toki over at the Dollhouse on 90th in Stony Island. We had a 10-1 live broadcasting. And when I tell you her salon is amazing, if you are a woman and if you get your hair done in the salon, go by there and check them out. They had mimosa, they had food. We broadcast glass. It was an event. So shout out to, it's called the Dollhouse on 90th and Stony Island. It's an amazing opportunity. It's an experience. It's not just you get your hair done. So she has some great stylists going on over there. She has a boutique in her salon. So shout out to Toki. She'll be here later. She's actually going to be celebrating her re-grand opening. Tonight we will have live music. We're going to have Nanette. We're going to have Lamar Creation. And we're going to have the young man who does the piano.
Jesse Parks.
Jesse Parks, yes. They came back. They really did a double because they was here last week and they did so good. People wanted to see them again. So they're going to be back again. So let's dive right into it. It is August, right? 17th, Q3, Q4. We're about to go into a different tradition, and we're about to go into a tradition of politics, right? So most of us in business understand when we get a new president, a new alderman, a new city official come in, things change, laws change. So from a real estate standpoint, Adrian, what are some of the things that we can look forward to, whether it's a Republican president or a Democratic president? What are some of the things that you are doing right now to make sure you stay ahead of the fray?
So one of the things that typically happens is whenever you get a new president, right before that, people tend to stop looking for real estate because they speculate. They don't really know what's going to happen. And so a lot of times you'll see interest rates drop a little bit to try to encourage people to do something. Because everybody's speculating before they find out who the new administration is going to be. And then whether it goes up or down is going to be dependent on what people think the administration is going to do. So for me, I feel like that right now you have inventory that is low and you have higher interest rates. Interest rates dropped a little bit just because, they dropped a little bit. They were around like 8%. And now you're seeing like somewhere around 6.5%, 7.5%.
Yep.
But my thing is, it doesn't matter what administration is going on, and it doesn't matter what interest rates are, that you should always be buying. And so for me, I always feel like, and I try to teach people that when interest rates are high, it's time to buy. And the reason why is that your purchase price cannot be changed. Your interest rate can always be changed. And so usually what happens when interest rates are high.
Say that one more time.
When interest rates are high, it's time to buy. Your purchase price cannot be changed. Your interest rate can always be changed. And so what typically happens is I like to be in high interest rates environments because they're conducive for being able to buy real estate at a discount, whether it's on market or off market. We had a property that was on market for $180,000. Interest rates was really high. There was construction that needed to be finished. It's actually down the street in Calumet City. We might actually do an event where we walk through the property, show people how you actually bid properties. And
we would love to do that. Like that. We would love to do that.
So we'll have something like that coming up. We have a lot of things we're rolling out, but it's right down the street in Calumet City. We got it for $100,000.
Okay.
And that's because when interest rates are high, people hold on to their cash. They don't want to spend. And so it creates an environment where people can come in and they can strategically make offers to people with the hopes of being able to identify motivation. And so when interest rates are like at 2 and 3%, everybody's like, I want a low interest rate. Well, are you prepared to pay more? Because it's free money. That's what we consider free money when interest rates is really low.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody tends to overspend. So when interest rates are really low, people tend to spend more on a house and they push prices up. And so you get into a very interesting situation when you're a homeowner. You're not looking for a profit. You're not looking to make a profit today. But when you're an investor, you're looking to make a profit. So you can't be competing with people overspending just because interest rates are low.
Or some of us know the term, don't compete with rates.
Yeah. So like I like when interest rates are high. I like to buy in those situations, and then what ends up happening is that we can refinance when interest rates drop. So imagine having a situation where you get a discount on a property because the homeowner didn't clean up, or there needs to be some cosmetic rehabs. Plus interest rates are high, so now you're getting a super discount. You're getting a really big discount. And then what happens is, if a property cash flows when interest rates are high, when interest rates drop and you refinance, now you get a bunch of extra money.
So let's back up a little bit, because I want to make sure that our listeners, and I want you guys to chime in as well too, so that way we can all have a conducive conversation. You mentioned a word that we love in real estate, cash flow.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it's just the difference between what your expenses are, your mortgage, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, minus what your rent, if you're actually renting it out to somebody. The difference between the two is what's called your gross cash flow. After you pay your expenses as a business, then that'll be your gross cash flow. And honestly, one of the things that we try to teach people is that there are so many different ways to cash flow a property. To make money on a property, and cash flow is just one of them. You have principal pay down, you have forced appreciation, you have appreciation, you have depreciation, you have cash flow. Those are 5 things right now. Plus, when you add in a couple of other things that we teach people how to do, you can get up to 7 different ways you can make money on just buying one property.
So, Danny, in reference to property taxes, how important is cash flow?
In reference to property taxes,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be able to pay them.
But the reason why I say that is because a lot of times people think cash flow is something foreign, or they don't really understand how easy it is. But obviously, property taxes are something that you have to pay in real estate.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to the area, the market, because like this week I just heard that Park Forest has the highest property taxes in the south suburbs.
Mm.
So for the people who have property in Park Forest, yeah, cash flow.
Cash flow. So, and we talked about this last week when it came down to your property taxes being raised. As an investor, I love it.
Of course.
As an investor, I love it. So, what would you say to someone that's not an investor when their property taxes are being raised? What type of mindset should he or she, and Raymond, I want you to chime in on it as well. What type of mindset do they need to exhibit?
Legislation. Vote. You have to pay attention to laws, your assessor. So, in an instance, at this point, um, property taxes have increased for the south suburbs because it was a reassessed year, but it's other things that also are going on the back end with the assessor's office. With exemptions, people aren't getting their proper rates.
When you
of
say
their
exemptions, what do you
exemption.
mean by that?
Homeowners
Break that
exemption.
down.
That's one that almost every homeowner should have. If you live in that home, you have a homeowner's exemption. It was over 4,000 people that did not get the proper reduction that they were supposed to get for their homeowner's exemption.
So you're basically saying you have people that live in a home that are not receiving the proper tax on their home, so they're paying more even though they live in a home.
Correct.
So if they were educated, how would they know or where to go to get that proper exemptions for homeowners?
So I tell my friends, my family, anyone I can reach out to. I When I first started dealing with property taxes, I worked for Commissioner Larry Rogers Jr., who was an advocate for getting out and giving the neighborhoods, the communities, the knowledge of the the importance of filing appeals on your property, any property, investment property, your home, commercial properties. Appeal, 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 appeal. Because every 3 years, when you're reassessed, your property value, with the market, as the assessor would say, will go up. Every 3 years, your property taxes will go up.
Okay. And what are other exemptions that people that you
So
see that people miss out on?
any veterans. So we have the disabled veteran, the returning veteran, the senior exemption, of course, like I said, the homeowner exemption. So those are like the
And senior
main
freeze.
ones. Yeah, the freeze. If you have a freeze, for the seniors who do have a freeze, if they've had the freeze for over 3 years, we don't encourage them to appeal, because you're frozen at a rate, and you don't want to mess up that rate, because when the property taxes fluctuate, yours will remain the same.
Remain the same. Okay. Raymond, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I actually got a quick question before we go into my thoughts on it. Danny, you mentioned homeowners exemption. What qualifies for homeowners exemption specifically?
um, Owning the home and living in the home, that has to be your residence where you sleep at 365 days out the year. Yes,
And that doesn't matter if it's a multi-unit or anything, as long as you live in it.
correct.
Okay.
Hopefully y'all got that. Go ahead.
You mind if I say something? So
Absolutely.
This is one thing that we've been playing around with, and when you hear people talk about where should you go,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the number one thing is to make sure that they connect with the right people. So I would say contact us, and then we can direct you where to go, because this is a very dynamic environment. Things are constantly changing, and so in order to get the most up-to-date advice, just contact us, and we can find you where to go.
And if
Now,
they
with
wanted
that-
to contact you, Adrian, how would they contact you?
That's Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter, Adrian G. Miller Jr. Or you can contact me at 217-714-1376. That's my personal phone number. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention, because this is something that we're doing right now, and there's been a lot of debate about this, and most people don't know it. But if you're a landlord, there are different ways that you can still get the exemptions in your property and reduce your taxes.
I love being a landlord.
And so most people don't know how to do it. We can talk to you about doing it. We can show you how to do it. It all involves how your leases are constructed and making sure that you can get those exemptions through the tenants that you have. So if you're a landlord and you want somebody, I can bring up right now, I have my computer here. I have reduced our taxes every single year, because you have to constantly do appeals. You have to do them every year. And as a matter of fact, we're coming up with a program where we'll actually either show you how to do it every year, or we'll actually do it for you every year. So you don't even have to worry about it. The notifications, all the rest of them. Because there's 4 different opportunities to be able to pay your taxes, and almost everybody gets rejected during the tax assessor section.
Yeah.
That's my experience. When
That's
you get
true.
to, especially in Cook County, when you get to the Cook County Board of Reviews, the majority of people that are going to get their taxes reduced will get it there. But most people don't even get to that stage because they got rejected during the first time.
They got rejected on the first stage.
So if you need to know how to do it, make sure you contact us. We can walk you through the process. We can show you how to do it. We can actually do it for you. And I can show you how I've been able to do it for our own stuff. If you're a landlord and you want to increase your cash flow by being able to get your taxes reduced, or even updating your leases and getting them situated so that you can take advantage of the exemptions that only homeowners get through your tenants, we can show you how to do it.
You know what's so funny, that before we got into, and this is, we talk about business, we talk about real estate, we talk about just in general. And I think a lot of times, let's peel back a little bit, right? Why do people, and I guess, it's no one that's this question. Why do people think real estate it's so hard to get into. Real estate is easier to get into than your job.
Fear.
Think about it. So let's take a job. Well, let's take a career, not a job, a career, right? So when you think about getting a career, you first have to what? Get a resume, right? Get a resume, get a cover letter, right? Hopefully you do some, interviews with your friends, your family. Then you gotta what? You gotta apply, right? Put your resume out there. Get some feedback, right? You may apply to 10 different people. Let's assume you don't know any of the people that it's not a hookup, right? I don't know Jason. So this is one of 2,000 resumes that have to petition for them to say, hey, I want you to come and work for me, right? That's the initial. Then it's a what? First interview. Now, when you go into a career, how many interviews do you typically have? 2, 3, 4?
I've had 8 before.
Sometimes you have one interview, then you have a second interview, then you have a group interview, then you have a
I've even
follow-up
had
interview,
to
and that's
go
before
to
they even do the background check, right?
Yeah.
So that process may take what, 2, 3, 4, 5 months? Do you realize in this market, you can acquire real estate in less than 30 days? You can cash flow in less than 30 days.
You definitely can.
What do you guys think is the biggest issue that people are really on the fence?
Like I stated, fear.
But why? Let's just not say fear, but
Because
why?
it's in them. It's not in them. So a lot of times when people grow up or the environment that they're around, they feel that's not something that they can attain. So if you're surrounded by people that aren't obtaining these things, how do you like, do I think I can do it? I'm around this person and this person. They don't own anything. They don't have anything going, right?
I think what you're saying is absolutely true. But what I found in my experience is that it's a little bit more than that.
Mhm.
Not that you weren't saying there was more than that, but fear of success, fear of failure is two sides to the equation. You also have lack of support. People feel like that they need support. They need to be galvanized. They need to be emotionally charged to be able to run through walls. And the last one is this: they're overwhelmed by information. They don't know. There's a million ways to skin a cat. Well, which one is the one that I have to do? You have to be accountable to your choices. So people are paralyzed by fear by not making choices because they have to be accountable to their choices. What if I fail? What are people going to say? All these different things. You put people in a box, and people are so afraid to move until they have somebody that can actually hold their hand, walk them through. That's why a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now and we're venturing into is to say, we will take you by the hand and show you how to do it because we know that you're ready to take and you information to continue to move. People, a lot of times I talk to them and I'm like, ultimately, what do you want to do to own a house? Okay, well, let's go about it now. I need my credit score raised. I have lenders right now that will give you, as long as you're over 600, you can get a house. So
Thank you.
we've already got past that. Well, I don't have a down payment. I know how to structure deals where we can use somebody else's money in the bank, and we can actually structure the contract.
You can give them.
All these different things that we can do creatively to buy it. We've purchased houses subject or creative finance by coming in and just taking over the mortgage for somebody else because they're in a situation where they have to get out. And so a lot of times these people don't even want money. They just want to give their house away, or they need a couple of $1,000s to move.
They just want to.
Get out the deal. So there are always ways to do it. You just have to be work. I think that people are all afraid to do the work, and it comes with what we say: fear, support, and being overwhelmed by information.
Raymond?
Yep.
I would say ultimately mindset, because the real mindset and being in a system. But however, with the right mindset, you can put yourself in position because like they have limits. If you got a 600 credit score, they could put you in position. So there's people out here may not have a 600 credit score, or they have the job to be able to qualify them. However, with the right mindset, they can put themselves in position. And like I'm a property owner, so my mind was trained at a young age when I was in my 20s because my mom owned property. So I grew up into that. But then again, I seen the flaws that she made. Then I had a best friend. Well, I still have that best friend, in which he's maybe 15 years older than me, and he trained me and helped me develop a mindset to where he always told me, instead of moving out of your mom's place and paying somebody else rent, he said, forget that. Take it, like help your mom pay bills, and when you move out of there, you move into your own 2 or 3 unit. That way you can have your tenant paying your rent.
Mhm.
When I finally moved, that's exactly what I did.
Funny about that when you talked about mindset, and all of you guys are 100% right. You know, a lot of culture, and again, if anyone that's here, if they have a question they want us to dive into, please just shout it out. We'll address it. A lot of times, real estate confuses a simple mind, right? It's just like going to the store. We got some ladies in here, and let's talk about shoes, right? You can go to the store and you say, "Girl, I'm about to go shopping." You say, "What you about to buy? Some shoes?" Okay. First thing you're gonna think, okay, is it for casual? Is it for comfort? If it's for walking, if it's for speed, am I going out to a club? What are we doing? And I think people think of that when it comes to business. They confuse it so much in their mind. Oh, I can't do that. Let's break down real estate. You have single family, have uh, sale, sale.
Mhm.
That's 6 different ways to make money in real estate. We're not even talking about fix and flip, right? So, you know what? I got a 651 credit score, about $7 in the savings account. I've been working at my job. I got about $10,000 in my 401k. What's the best deal I need to be in right now? Let's really break it down so they can understand. Because I think sometimes as professionals, we talk over their head. Because if Adrian and I have a conversation about real estate, we gonna go right. We're not gonna talk about the small things. We're gonna talk about percentages. We're gonna talk about uh, fast hold, buy, sell, leverage, right? But if you're talking to somebody who's 5 years old, has rented, been living with their mom for 10 years, they finally got themselves a good job. We can't talk to them about leverage.
You know, the thing that's funny is honestly, we were doing a mentorship and we switched away from doing mentorships to doing more workshops and boot camps. But one of the things that was very interesting to one of the things that was very interesting to find out is that most people didn't realize that rent was more expensive than the mortgage.
Say that one more time.
Like literally, most people didn't realize that I have properties right now where the mortgage is $1,200 a month, but the rent is $2,500 a month, and it's $1,200 a month cash flow from somebody on Section 8, where they have a Section 8 program that will allow people to be able to buy a property. They can reduce their the amount of money they're spending by almost 50%, but they don't realize it. And so the thing that really is what the mission is not just about helping people with solving the affordable, to teach people how to be able to create wealth, because a lot of investors, their mindset is I'm creating more. Well, they're telling you you can't afford a loan, but you're literally paying 500 something that principal and insurance is. You will be in a much better position where you live, and there's different things you can do. So the first thing is mindset, but it's awareness, like teaching people that this is the situation that it's in. Most people don't like to look at the real picture. Most people like to stay, I don't want to look at the picture. It's scary. My whole financial situation is messed up. Eventually, one day I'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
We try to force you to look at it and say, this is where you are and this is where you need to be. Engineer by telling you, we're going to align your goals with your actions. We're going to help you decide. We're going to help you discover who you as a person, kind of plan we need to work. And once we're able to do that, become empowered. You are empowered to do.
You're absolutely 100% correct. Right before we go to break, I want back the man, the myth, the legend here. I want to say that I'm so excited for him. I mean, and I'm gonna move myself uh, out to the side, and Frank is gonna host the actual show. So he didn't know that, so he's gonna be the host. So we're gonna go break. We're gonna go on a break first, and when we come back, we're gonna have you guys and Frank, and I want you guys to really dig into education, knowledge, and experience. Ownership Club. We're here on Intellectual Radio.